It's about, in short, the functions of images of death and torture in European arts, so mostly Western Europe, a little bit of Byzantium as well. But the idea that in our culture today, we're not very used to talking about death and torture. It's something that we usually kind of avoid the whole concept of. But back in the day, it was much more a part of regular life, but it also had some very strong functions. Images, especially of torture, served devotional functions, and it served functions in terms of law and punishment and just kind of keeping order and things like this, and exemplary functions. So it could be seen as something that was really positive to experience. There's a very strong trend in Christian, Western European Christian devotion on attention to the suffering of Christ and the saints, and that in order to, not just to improve yourself, that you should try to emulate their suffering, but that you could follow in their footsteps, you could emulate them. And if you couldn't emulate them, if you couldn't be like St. Francis and actually develop the stigmata that literally, that at least you could lead yourself through a kind of a cycle of prayers that would bring you closer to Christ or whichever saint's experience. And to do that, they had a whole series of meditational practices where you would visualize what's happening and try to put yourself into that situation and move your soul through that experience. And so by going through these meditational practices, piece by piece by piece, with the text, this prayer, this prayer, this prayer, and using the images that go with them, this image, this image, this image. So you'll see a whole family of prayers dedicated to the right hand of Christ and the whole in it. And paragraphs and paragraphs of praise for this particular wound. So in any case, it's something that's really sort of foreign to today because we think of art as primarily about beauty and about things that are pretty and decorative. And in those days, it was almost the opposite, that these images were powerful because of how not beautiful they were, and that they could just be absolutely grotesque and horrifying, and that's where the power in them was.